All right. Welcome to Hell Effing Yeah Live. I'm Mike. Got my co-host here today, Joe Blackwood. Today we have actor Zack Ward. Most may know him for his role as Scott Farkas, or Dave. How do you say it? Scoville
Yeah.
from Titus. But he's been in over 100 movies and television shows. Zack is also a writer, director, producer. We're going to discuss your massive, impressive body of work and your upcoming projects. So Zack Ward, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. So you're in LA right now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Joe's in Texas. I'm in New York. How's the weather in LA?
It's my favorite time of year as a redhead in California because it's slightly cloudy and rainy, and then I don't have to run from the car into the house before I burst into flame. So yeah, yeah. And my wife just got one of those, those cool little tables that have the propane heater in the bottom and the fire on the top. So my favorite thing is now sitting out in the back deck with the fire going on, listening to the rain. I know it sounds like a Hallmark commercial, but literally that's the weather.
That sounds wonderful, actually, because here it's like 20 degrees. Wind gusts 35 miles an hour. I've been picking up the garbage pails all day long.
I'm from Toronto, Canada. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, you can keep it. I'm good.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, how about you? How's the weather over in Texas?
70 and gorgeous in Fort Worth.
Oh, man. You guys are killing me.
Get out of there, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Escape from New York, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Canada. Now, Zack, your mother was an actress, but she did not want you to be an actor.
No.
So how did you defy mom?
Originally, it was my older brother, Carson Foster. My mother said she wanted me to have a normal life. And then my brother asked her for a definition of a normal life. And since she didn't have one, that sort of was his argument that why she should let me give it a shot. And then I started doing commercial auditions when I was about 10 years old. It took about a year of commercial auditions. So my mom, who was an actress, already had an agent. And then when I was a little boy, if you guys find this footage online, you can find a couple of commercials I did when I was a little kid. So for Jell-O in Canada and Dolly Madison ice cream. I mean, when I was little, I was adorable. I had a little nose and big eyes and a little tufted red hair, and I was a little guy, and I looked like an elf. And then I grew up to have a big nose and slanty eyes, and it all went sideways. But so it took about a year. I got my first couple of commercials, and then I started doing more commercials. And then Christmas Story was my first feature film. So
yes.
From there.
So obviously, iconic role, first role, Scott Farkas. What was the casting process like for that role?
We call it it's called a cattle call, meaning that just hundreds and hundreds of kids come in, and literally you walk into a room, and the what we call the sides, which are the pieces of script that you use to audition. You walked into a room. There was a VHS camera, very high tech back then, and you're auditioning on camera with a casting director next to the camera. And my sides were those of Grover Dill. The name was still Scott Farkas, but the lines were, "Get over here, nah, you're Aunt Tilly," right? So it's like, and I think that was it. And "Roar!" So not a very satisfying audition process. You walk in, say those lines, you go, "Great, bye-bye," and then you leave, and then you get a call back. So originally there were like 300 kids. Then there's 100 kids, 50 kids, 10 kids. I got the job. And then when I got on the set, I had never met the director before because he was in Los Angeles prepping the film. We walked on the set, myself and Yano Anaya, who played Grover Dill. And then Bob Clark, the director, saw us beside each other and could tell, like, Yano's here and this is me. And I'm about a foot taller than him. And he looks up and goes, all right, you get his lines, he gets yours. Great, done. And so that's when Scott Farkas became the bully as opposed to the sidekick. And history was made. Yes.
Wow, it was. Now, I know some actors don't like to watch their own work, but I need to know: do you watch A Christmas Story every year, like traditional Christmas movie? No.
No, I don't, because I travel around the Christmas season, basically from Thanksgiving through to Christmas. I'm traveling around the country raising money for different charities. Alzheimer's has been my focus for the last few years. My father has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and is diminishing very quickly. So anyways, not to be depressing, but so from Thanksgiving through Christmas, I'm traveling around the country pretty much every weekend, going to different locations, signing autographs, seeing people, raising money for different charities. And the Christmas Story is always playing in the area somewhere. So I am constantly getting an influx of pieces of it. But I have sat down and watched the film in its entirety. I think the last time was 3 or 4 years ago, and it's just such a brilliant movie. I mean, I compare it to The Shawshank Redemption. It's one of those films that doesn't have a bad moment. It doesn't have a miscue, and I take no responsibility for that whatsoever. That's the director, that's the writer, that's the editor, that's the DP, that's so many other people that I had no interaction with or even understanding at the age of 13 when I did the movie. I got to play the role, and for me, it was imitating the bullies that I used to get in fights with. So it really wasn't something outside of where I was comfortable, because to me it was make believe and playing dress up. But Bob Clark really took his time and was patient with me and helped me not suck. And then in the editing bay, he made me look even better. So I think the film is a brilliant piece of cinema. And I don't know if you knew this, but Christmas Story is in the Library of Congress as one of the most influential top 100 influential, most important pieces of American cinema of the last 100 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, so, and it's also in the Smithsonian. So literally, I'm a national treasure.
Yeah.
Because
that's got to feel good.
Nick Cage shows up at my door every morning trying to steal me, but national treasure joke. But again, all those things being said, I was 13, so it's not like I was the world's greatest producer director. I just got to act in the thing, and I was very grateful.
Sure. And listen, you're being humble, but your scenes are just as important as the rest of them, as far as the movie as a whole, and it's just an iconic, the hat and everything else. It's just unforgettable.
One thing I've noticed from your earliest roles, even to the later stuff, I'm a big Titus fan, and you're one of my favorite physical comedians. There are a lot of great character actors that can read lines and they're funny. But you always have a physical presence. You're always moving. You were so full of energy on that show. I was stoked when we got the reunion recently. I've been following as Titus was re-upping all the old episodes, and I got to relive that. But getting some closure and watching, getting to see you and Stacy Keach again was phenomenal. But I've noticed in everything you've done, even Freddy versus Jason, when your body language was mimicking Robert Englund's. You're just such a great physical actor with your body. Use your entire body. It's not just your face. So I was going to ask, did you? He was hitting you a lot. Was he really hitting you? Did you rehearse a lot of the body?
What? I've been hit in a lot of movies, so you need to be specific.
Oh, Titus specifically. He was always just slapping Dave.
He actually did a good job. See, the key is, if this is my head, right, and he's slapping me, it goes up, across, like that. It's a stagecraft of how to smack someone. Jay Leno, we did an episode with Jay Leno, and he had no idea how that worked. And he was hitting me in the face, and you're supposed to just brush your fingers. So here's your hand, the fingers go by, and you sell it. So, but I just touched my face. Jay Leno, I don't know if you've ever met him. He's a he's a big man, and his hands are about that wide, and they're all palm. Like he looks like a bear. And he didn't understand the finger thing, and he was hitting me in the face with his palm across my jaw, to the point where the audience got upset and they started booing him.
Wow.
It was very sweet. It was a lot of Dave love on that day. That was very sweet.
I mean, you were a highlight of that show. I mean, it was just, did you know how groundbreaking it was? Because I mean, homophobia, mental illness, like you guys tackled serious subjects, but it never felt preachy. It always, like, I was laughing, but it also, I mean, I was like 13, 14 at the height of the show. And it taught me to look at things a little bit differently. So were you aware at the time that you were making something that was kind of pushing boundaries, or were you just having fun?
Oh, absolutely. Like that, you get the scripts and you open them up and you go, I get to say this? Wow. This is crazy. You mentioned the homophobia thing, and there's that episode, Tommy's Not Gay.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Right? And I'm making out like David Shatraw, who plays Tommy, who's genius comedy actor, physical actor. Just his timing is fantastic. And he's freaking out, and I reach over and I kiss him. I'm like, all right, hold on. And I kiss him and I push him down on a pool table, and I'm making out with him, and his legs are pounding. And I come back and I'm like, ah, you like that? He's like, no. I'm like, then you're not gay. And now there's two other things I can try. And he's like, no. And then but yeah, it was hilarious. And then we cut to what was called a neutral space, the black and white. And there's Chris Titus saying Matthew Shepard was hung on a fence to die because he was gay. And he says, because he was gay, he was hung on a fence to die because he was gay. And just as quiet as it got here, we're doing the scene in front of 500 live audience members, and above them is a bunch of TVs. And so when we would cut to the neutral space, it wasn't just a post edit, it was live on stage. So if I'm saying boogity boogity boo and it cuts to a flashback or a neutral space, it's cutting in real time. Our stage goes black, the TVs pop up, and then they watch that. And it was like that moment of me kissing David Shatraw. By the way, very thick stubble on that guy. That hurts. I don't know how my wife deals with it. And hilarious. And then cutting to that, and you could hear a pin drop, dude, in a room with 600 people. And then back to comedy. And, I didn't write any of the episodes. Again, you got to give credit where the credit is due. Jack Kenny, Brian Hargrove, Christopher Titus, and the scores of other brilliant writers that were on that show, and the network for having the balls to try these things on a primetime show. And it was really, really cool. It was really cool to do comedy that was fearless to a certain degree. And look, I won't name names, but there's certain shows I don't enjoy them because there's no honesty to them. There's no truth. Not that sounds so cheesy. There's no truth to them. But, those shows where there's no stakes. Somebody comes up and says a silly thing, and someone else says a silly thing back, and who gives a shit, right? There's nothing in their soul that's making you going, oh, that's hard for that person, or and they kept on doing this on Titus, was grabbing onto content that people had an issue with, and especially with that episode of Titus. Like, I was raised in the film and television and theater environment, so I've known gay people, LGBTQ, whatever the hell you call it, since I was 4. And they were family members, and they were people that my mom knew, and they became family to me. So there was no me and them in my life. It was just people, whatever. But I know that's not the normal experience for everybody. So, when you do a show like Titus, which is about hot rods, and a super hot Cynthia Watros and funny stuff, and then you throw in that, it's very different than if you're doing a TV show like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, or what's the one with the guy and the girl and the gay and that he's straight?
Will and Grace.
Will and Grace, or Queer as Folk. I mean, those shows have a key demographic that has already said, yes, I'm comfortable with this conversation. I want to have more of it. You're preaching to the choir. There's no new conversation there. With Titus, it was reaching out to people like, I like cars, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then it was taking the conversation in a different way, and still making it funny. And like you said, not talking down to them or proselytizing how they should think, just having a conversation. You know, I love hearing that story that you watched it as a kid and it made you go, huh, that's awesome. Thanks for that.
It did. Yeah. I mean, the juxtaposition of those two things. I mean, I wasn't watching Friends when I was young. I didn't relate to that. It was a little goofy. I'm not picking on anybody. I mean, but like, it was something that always and the mental illness thing as well, which is something you don't see a lot in the mainstream, and the complicated relationships we have with family members where you love them, but sometimes they're kind of fucked up, or, you know, maybe a little verbally abusive or whatever it is, but you still have love for them. So it was a lot of areas of gray that you guys explored. And I mean, don't diminish your own contributions, because you might not have written it, but like your performance is what helped sell it. You know what I mean? It was one of the things I latched onto. So I appreciate you. That's all.
I think Titus, like A Christmas Story, through my career, I've had the opportunity to be in a lot of different types of films and TV shows, and they're not always good. Some of them are pretty crappy, and you cash the check, you pay your bills, you go on with your life, and you hope for the best, but you don't really know what it's going to be, and it doesn't have that much. It doesn't have that much to do with, well, this one's got a high budget or this one has a low budget. There's this weird magic that happens. I know that sounds ridiculous, where it's like a combination. It's this strange tension between the writing, the producing, the directing, the acting, the editing, the music, all the cinematography, the set design, all these things that come together, and everybody's kind of fighting to do what they love, and then it pops. And like, really, I'd say in my career, Christmas Story and Titus are the two perfect moments of that. Where behind the scenes, it wasn't easy. Oh, Christmas Story for me was a cakewalk because I was 13. But, I know that for those people, it wasn't easy. But what they generated, what they made was so really timeless. And it's amazing that people get that feeling. Yeah, I don't diminish my role in it. I just know that the audience doesn't get to see all the other people who made that possible. Yeah. And I love being an actor. I also love being a writer and a director and a producer and an editor. And I know the audience only gets to see the actor. And what they know is, like, there's a bunch of people, man, that are making that shit happen, and they bring genius to it moment by moment, and you don't get to see their faces, but they're right there. And I would be, a homeless guy if it weren't for them. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to give credit, obviously, to the people behind the scenes, but also, for them to pick the right person to portray their work or their writing.
Oh yeah, let's. I agree with you guys. I'm fantastic. Everything I do is gold. Just like my mom said, I'm the prettiest boy at school. That's probably the truth.
So, I mean, you've been on so many TV shows, Titus being the longest running. Besides financially consistent with working in a long-running television show, do you prefer working on a film or a TV show?
They're very different environments. As an actor, a movie is like summer camp, and a TV series is like high school, because it's got longer built relationships and you would get more nuance.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a cool way to look at it. Yeah. So now Joe mentioned Freddy vs. Jason before. Now, this is something me and Joe have spoken about many times. If there ever was an Elm Street reboot or remake, whatever you want to call it, we wholeheartedly believe that there would be no one else that would make a perfect Freddy Krueger than yourself. Now,
that's right. They all forgot. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, the body language. You nailed that, Robert Englund, like that kind of gunslinger, like one shoulder drop, like you nailed it.
He was literally there. So I mean, that was the first time I got to meet Robert Englund, and I've met him multiple times since. But I was imitating him. Like that character in that movie is the only person who's been taken over by Freddy as a manifestation, and is Freddy. Not not Freddy using him as a puppet or whatever, but that he turns into Freddy. And Robert Englund was showing me how to walk like him. Like I was getting movement class from Robert Englund.
Oh,
and
cool.
it was dope. And so Robert Englund actually has a background in dance. And you mentioned my physicality before. I grew up, watching my mom do plays, watching her do TV shows, watching her actor's process of relaxing the body and the throat and the lips, and learning how to enunciate and changing your characterization so you could do accents, or how your body language would change the way people perceived you, the way you walk into a room or the way you creep into a room. I got into martial arts when I was about 6 years old. My father was a boxer. So at an early age, I understood how your body relates to your conversation. And I always found that really interesting. And so Robert and I, right away, I came up to him and was like, can you give me advice on how to be you? And he walked me through the whole choreography of it. And it was just, the key is you got to pretend that the glove that you're wearing, even though it's made of plastic, weighs 30 pounds. And so it offsets your whole body. Instead of standing level like this, you're leaning on here, and you're kind of making it sexy with your hat, like you're a dancer and all that. That's the whole thing. And you're dragging that hand. So when you move it, it's got weight, because otherwise you'd be able to do this, and it's not scary when your hand is flipping around, right? So yeah, I would love to play Freddy. Fuck yes, I'd love to play Freddy.
I'm also glad you mentioned the background of stage, because I've done a little bit of acting on stage and in short film. And when you're on stage, you just have to be bigger because you have to read to the back row. There's no close up. And when you said that, it made me think that had a big influence on your physicality, because, you're familiar with how things have to read. They're more broad. They're just bigger in general.
Yeah, I probably didn't quantify it as insightfully as you just did, because I was a kid, and I would just notice how my mom would go from being my mom to Lady Capulet, or whatever character in a play she was doing, and how her whole physicality would adjust. So I got to grow up in it, and I think a lot of it was through osmosis that I learned, because I was just surrounded by the process all the time.
Wow.
Right on.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. So I want to get this hashtag going, Farkas for Freddy. I think that's
nice.
3 F's. I think it's catchy. We got to get it going on Twitter and all these things, because if this does happen, I can't think of anybody better. I really can't. A lot of people say, Kevin Bacon and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see that, but nah.
Oh, he'd be great. He'd be great.
He's
a big dude, man. He's a shockingly tall man.
Yeah.
He's like 6'4" or something.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell people's heights on film,
Usually
it's impossible.
What's that?
I mean, people standing on apple boxes. I mean, it's really difficult to tell anybody's size on film. There's a million tricks. So
yeah. No, he's a big dude. My wife used to be the director of events over at Lucky Strike, and he'd come in around right on Christmas Eve. That was his family celebration. And so he and I would hang out, and I was always surprised at what a tall dude he is. I'm 5'10". I'm Mr. Average Guy, And what's always funny is people will meet me and they'll be like, "Oh, I thought you'd be taller." I'm like, "Nah, me too."
Yeah, it's funny how that works. So during the filming of Resident Evil Apocalypse, you lived in a house with Mila Jovovich. She's one of those celebrities you just never hear too much about. So how was your experience working and living with her?
It was fantastic. She's such a sweet woman. When I got there, so I got hired on as a local, meaning I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. So they were like, "Yeah, you're from here, so we're not putting you up." They screwed me. And for me, like this is that stuff that people don't talk about, but when you get a job offer to be in a $70 million movie, it's a great opportunity and you want that opportunity. So you're willing to eat some crap to get it.
Sure.
And so their negotiation was, you're from Toronto, so you're a local, we'll fly you in once, fly you out. That's it. We're not putting you up. We're not driving you to set, and we are not giving you money for food.
Like, no per diem?
Oh, dude, it was brutal.
Wow.
So when I first got there, I was my older brother still lives there, and as does my mom. So when I got there and I was shooting, I was sleeping on the floor of his warehouse loft, and I don't mean like on a couch. I mean on the floor, hardwood floor, and it was summer. It was at the end of summer, August, September, and it's humid as hell in Toronto. And his cat would wake me up by sticking its nose in my butt, and I don't recommend it. I gotta be honest. And so I had long hair at the time, and I was going in to get my hair trimmed up for the character because he's military. And so I'm sitting in the makeup trailer, and there's a number of us getting our hair done, and people are talking. We're getting to know each other, and Mila comes in, and so she overhears the fact that I'm getting a cat's nose at my butt in the morning. And then she asked me, where am I staying? I'm like, oh, no, they wouldn't put me up, so I'm sleeping on the floor. And she's got a quizzical look on her face. And then after she leaves, I'd see her about an hour later, and she goes, okay, so my assistant's going back to LA, so I'm going to give you you can take his apartment. I was like, what? And you can have his apartment because it's empty and you can have it. I'm like, I didn't ask for that. She's like, no, I know. Okay, so I moved into this apartment in Yorkville, which is like Beverly Hills of Toronto. And I have this 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in this swanky ass area all by myself opposite Mila's place for free.
Wow.
And so I'm there for like a month or something. And then, oh my God, how great is that? And then she tells me one day on set, she's like, all right, so bad news. You got to move out of the apartment because I'm moving out of there. I was like, oh, great. Awesome. I'll figure it out. Thank you so much. She goes, yeah, you're moving into a house with me. I'm like, what? What's happening? She's like, I got a house down in Rosedale, another fancy area of Toronto. She's like, yeah, and I made sure it has an area for you. It's like, oh, I don't know what to say. Like, that's just crazy. So they were living in a house together. I had my own area, but we used to share the same kitchen. And like, she's on set every single day. So she gets up, she boogers off, she comes back. That's it. And I would make her breakfast if I was up in time, trying to feed her because she's just so driven and hardworking that she'd be getting stuff done and she'd forget to eat. And she's doing all these fight sequences. And with my background in martial arts, I was training her in stick fighting. It was just great, she was like an older sister to me. And well, I don't want to say older as of her age. I mean, older than she was in charge. She was the boss, but she was really sweet and she was really kind. And she was she didn't need to be nice to me in any way, shape, or form. And she did because that's just the type of person she is. And that's awesome. Who does that?
Yeah, I love hearing stories like that. That's great.
Me too. I really do. Sometimes you wonder, I've met so many celebrities and, people that I look up to, and sometimes it's not the experience you hope it to be,
Yeah.
But then a lot of times you're really surprised that it's more than you would ever imagine. So it's so cool.
Trust me, if you meet me, it'll be so disappointing. So
well, I mean, technically, we're meeting right now, and I think you're
Well,
fantastic.
damn it.
So, Joe, help me out with the pronunciation of this director's name here.
Uwe Boll.
Uwe Boll.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's what everybody has a hard time when they go, Uwe.
Yeah.
It's Uwe, yeah.
Uwe.
So you've worked with the notorious director.
I have. That's a good term, notorious, yeah.
Notorious.
Yeah.
Several video game adaptations, including Blood Rain 2 and Postal. What is it like working with this? I'm going to say it again, the notorious director, such as Uwe Boll.
The notorious UWE.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a very sweet man. He's very passionate. He's very frustrating. As directors go, he's a brilliant producer. I think that when I worked with him in his career, he was more focused on producing than he was on directing. And, you know, he's pretty much retired now. But I have a lot of respect for the guy for what he created. Especially you got to think about it back then where it was a lot harder to get films out. Excuse me. There weren't all the streaming platforms, and he really pushed that rock uphill. He's done a lot of amazing stuff, and I mean amazing, both positive and negative. Yeah. Positive and negative. He's done some real crap, some very expensive real crap, but he's also done some things that have been pretty awesome. He's also got some crazy ideas, dude. Like when we did Blood Rain 2, we had shot Postal, and Blood Rain was being shot right after it. And so he offered me the role of Billy the Kid. If you see the movie, Uwe, for those of you who don't know, is German. And when I say German, I mean he's very German. So yes, he talks like this. This is how he does it. We do it. We go faster. Yeah. This is how we go. No, I'm not here to make pretty pictures. Make the movie. And so he's like, yeah. So Zack, you play Billy the Kid as a 300-year-old vampire. And I'm like, what? Because like Billy the Kid's a real person who really existed and has his own real history. So there was no like interlacing fact and fiction. It was just bullshit. And I'm like, okay. And so 300 years, yeah, has Transylvanian accent. I'm like, so Billy the Kid has a Transylvanian accent for reasons. And he's like, yeah, this is how we do it. We go, okay, good. I'm like, this is so stupid. So stupid. And it's, you know, as a writer, it's one of those things you go, you know, you could work this into the script. Like you could make one of my writing partners at the time, and I pitched a bunch of ideas because we were like, oh, what if you did this? And the other thing is like, no, I don't care. He's 300-year-old vampire. Now we go, shoot. You're like, okay. It's there's not enough prep work in the design of the script for the film to be executed on a level that elevates it beyond the genre and the budget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never going to be that, holy crap, did you see that? It's going to be, yeah, it's Blood Rain 2. I like Postal a lot in a lot of ways. I am very frustrated by Postal in a lot of ways because I feel like it had so much potential that was not realized in the editing, to be honest with you. And I've edited my own films. I've directed 2 feature films. I've edited them both. I've edited 4 short films and commercial music videos. So, you know, editing is a language like dance. And we all know what Elaine looks like on Seinfeld. She can't dance. And so just because you hear the music and move, it ain't dancing. Same thing.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right? Same thing
yeah.
if you get Premiere Pro and you slap a whole bunch of edits clips together, it ain't editing. And I just feel like with Uwe on those jobs, there's like, you know, Blood Rain was material made for a certain machine. Postal was saying and doing something that was pretty risky, pretty ballsy at the time. and I wish it had been given. I wish it had been given more massaging in the post process to really elevate the caliber of its message. I think it could have been much funnier, and I think it could have looked better. That being said, I still got to show respect to the man for having the balls to go do it. And I do. I respect Uwe Boll immensely.
Release the ward cut. Recut it. Let's do the Snyder thing. Release the ward cut. Like, just go in.
That's a great idea.
I mean,
yeah, editing, it's very true. Like, you can change the narrative. You can change the meaning with a couple switch of scenes or anything like that. You really can. So it's very important.
Did you guys ever see that YouTube video, Darth Vader is a jerk?
I don't think so.
No.
Dude, you got to play it. It's I think it's from Empire Strikes Back, and it's one of the generals. They're on a Star Class, one of the big, giant bad guy ships. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. Star Destroyer. That sounds like a thing. And it's when Darth Vader is staying in his like weird egg thing, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes, so the guy walks in, stands there, the egg thing is closed, it opens, and he slowly turns around, and he goes, Lord Vader, blah, 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 blah. And in the original movie, Vader's like, yes, go do this, and blah, blah, blah. They're done, right? In the recut, you got to look it up. Vader's a jerk. It goes, and he turns around, like, yes, General. General's like, well, the so-and-so is happening, and so-and-so, and it cuts back, and the thing goes, and it's just Vader turning away in the middle of the sentence, and then it cuts back to the Colonel, and it's this beautiful edit of him just like uncomfortable, not knowing what to say, right? And then Vader turns back around, and he starts to talk again, and then gets cut off, and waits, and goes back and forth. And it's exactly that moment, like with the editing, you transform a serious scene into comedy,
right?
And it's genius. And that's what I wish it had happened in Postal.
Now, do you think there would be any way to cut that movie where it would be released today and wouldn't be, considered canceled? There we go.
Well, I mean, look, I agree with Ricky Gervais when he says, you have the right to be offended by anything you want, but it doesn't mean you're right. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean I have to stop. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of getting into what triggers whomever. I don't care. Not on this platform. I think that people, I think if a movie like Postal came out today, there'd be a bunch of people who would say, hell yeah. And other people like, oh, I'm not going to see that. Good. Don't go see it. Just go do something else.
Art should be a little divisive, I think. I mean, it should challenge you. I mean, I look at what It's Always Sunny gets away with. I mean, like, they could have been canceled 12 times. And I think I saw you pop up on It's Always Sunny at one point.
Did.
Briefly.
You did. Yeah. That's a bullcrap. Bullcrap.
That was fun.
So, I mean, tons of TV shows, a lot of horror movies. Your body work's very horror heavy. Even your full-length directorial debut, Restoration. Yeah. Pure horror goodness. Now, what attracts you to that genre?
It's easy to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody gets scared. If you take a movie and send it to Germany or Japan or Italy or India, and you got a slow creeping shot, and the music's dun 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 boogity boogity. Everybody gets scared the same way. Trying to translate a joke, it's hard. They're all cultural references, and they also, even in English, you listen to a joke that's said by an Australian comedian or an English a comedian from the UK, and you may not laugh because you don't know the reference. So that's why comedies are hard to travel for sales internationally. So when I was making my first features, I went towards horror films in order to ensure that my investors could recoup their money. So it was a business decision. And also, I really enjoy the medium because, as we've seen with all these different movies nowadays, horror does not have to be dumb. Horror can be very smart and very emotionally connected, depending upon what universe you make it in. With Restoration, did either of you see the film? I'm assuming no.
I have not, but I'm going to now that I know of it.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, it's okay.
Is
It's
it
okay.
is it available
It's in my queue.
streaming?
It's in my queue.
I will happily.
It's on Amazon Prime. So it's
I got it.
we released on 2015. My mom's in the movie, and she kills. I don't mean Well, you can go find out what I mean. She's fantastic in the film. She's brilliant. She was 80. She was 80 years old when she shot it. It was fantastic. Wow. She was wonderful. So like in that movie, you know, the precedent is like the real world, where I live in a real world. I'm on a laptop doing a podcast, and I don't believe in ghosts or Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or superstitions or things under the bed to go bump in the night, because I know they're not real. Now, if on the flip side, I saw something like that, if I really saw something that fell into that category, it would fuck my life, because now I'd have to go, whoa. Everything I believed was wrong. Holy shit. Not only would it change how I see the world, but I know it would change how everybody sees me. Because when some guy's like, man, I'm going to go chase Bigfoot, or I got picked up by a UFO, or my house is haunted, I think you're an idiot. I think you're either lying to yourself, or you're either lying to everybody else, or you're lying to yourself, or you're just a fucking moron, because science proves that that's not true. So you're either part of your own illusion, or you're suffering because of it. So if I saw a ghost, I know that I would now become that guy to everybody. You know, what happened to Zack? Oh, he saw a ghost, and now he's that guy. So
kind
you're
of like Randy Quaid.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I love his body of work, but like, honestly, sometimes people's opinion, like they get out there and it reframes that person, even to the point when I'm watching Christmas Vacation, I'm like, I can't quite get it out of the back of my head, you know?
Yeah. And that's, so in Restoration, the universe that I was living in was our universe. How would you deal if that was real? And what would it do to your relationships, your life, your goals? You know, like, I'm married, happily married, love my wife. If she walked in right now and said, I talked to an angel, we're going to a fucking therapist. She's getting on meds. Like, that's a life change, dude.
Yeah.
And it's not a fun one. It's like, okay, how much is that going to cost insurance? Are we divorcing? Are you a crazy person? Like, it's a nightmare, right? So, or you look at a world. Did you guys see the new Ghostbusters?
Yes.
I did.
I loved it. Great movie.
Yes,
but then look at their universe, where you've got this very smart little girl. No spoilers here, everybody. If you haven't seen it, look away. So the little girl with the glasses who's like really the star of the film. She's wonderful, and she's into science. And then shit starts floating across her room, and instead of running for her life, she's like, okay, that happened. I'm going to play chess with a ghost, and just accepts it and moves on. Is not our world, right? Like, it's a hyper version, and you need that in order to get into the rest of your story. Otherwise, it gets in the way, right?
Right.
I don't know why I'm off on this tangent anymore, but there you go. There's universe building 101.
No, it's very interesting, and I think about shit like that all the time.
Pacing is a big thing. Sometimes they're just trying to get in and get to the meat of
Yeah.
the plot. And honestly, every movie now seems to be 2.5 hours, which is a slog sometimes. Even a movie I like, I'm like, I miss a tight 90-minute movie. I mean, you want to talk about editing. I think we need more editors that know how to tell a story, get in, get out. Nice 3-act structure. It's almost a lost art.
Or you look at like any of the Mission Impossibles, and I'm sorry, they are so damn good. I can watch Mission Impossible over and over again, inch by inch. That movie is those films are just terrifying, fantastic stuff. Like Tom Cruise, dude, that guy. Wow, what a freaking legend!
He could have died 20 times on those movies.
Oh my God, and I love seeing the behind the scenes of Tom Cruise. Like, I'm fanboying a little bit, but watching how much he enjoys working with the crew to get stuff done and nail those stunts, and just the pride and pure excitement and pleasure he takes from them all accomplishing something together. The guy's legend, dude.
He is. And to go back to what we were talking about too, you watch the movies, any Tom Cruise movies, and think sometimes like, all right, like Joe was saying, a certain actor, it gives you like a different thought of them when you think about something else in the real world, like Scientology.
Yeah, so, I know what you're saying, but I think that's come and gone for him because his work keeps on taking him up to other levels where you end up going, man. And I agree with you on this. Like, the problem with being an actor and being being very public about your opinions about things is then you're conflating the two values, which is you as a person and you as a character. And, my job as an actor is to perform the role so that you, the audience, believe it, and you have empathy and you have a visceral experience with me, whatever I'm going through, whether it's comedy or pain or horror, you're experiencing that moment with me as opposed to being distracted by my independent identity, right? Like, that's literally why you paid money. Otherwise, I could just send you a cameo, right? So I keep my opinion to myself about politics, about most green issues. If you're a friend of mine and we're sitting down having a coffee and we want to have a conversation, hell yeah, I'll get into stuff. But I don't think that's for public consumption. I'm not running for office. I believe I have a right to talk about the impact of Alzheimer's, because I have it in my family and my life. And on the flip side, your politics, your religion, your drinking, anything else, I have no right to talk about that. If I have an opinion on global warming, my position is that I should go do something about it, not yell at you about it.
Amen.
Yeah.
I want to know less. I want to know less about most celebrities' opinions on that stuff, because I have my own feelings and they don't necessarily align with one side or the other always.
Right.
And it's like, you're going to isolate somebody no matter what. So it's like, I would rather just know less about some people. You know what I mean? Like, I want to enjoy the art. I don't want to not be able to turn on my favorite movie anymore because somebody turned out to be a douchebag, or just have one opinion I didn't disagree with, which doesn't necessarily make somebody a douchebag. Not everything has to be divisive.
Right.
So I respect the hell out of that.
I think it's one of those problems, like, celebrities in the United States were elevated to a godlike status starting in like the 1920s. It became an extension of the American dream. This girl was discovered in a soda shop, and now she's an international star. This can happen to you. Just hope that one day someone will discover you. It's the same thing as winning the lottery, as opposed to like, save your money, buy property, build equity, and take care of your family, which is what you should really do. Work hard, be happy hard, and enjoy your life. No, it's like, believe in the lottery ticket. And I think the American dream attached to the royalty of celebrityhood, and then that whole process got elevated, and then the PR people were trying to find new ways to make their talent relevant. And then the problem with being a celebrity, and I'll tell you this, is people believe their own press. And when smoke's being blown up their ass, they're like, yeah, I really am fantastic. I'm pretty amazing. I'm pretty much the greatest person ever. And you're fucking not, dude. You're just an actor. So I think that that was a big issue. And I love the fact that I'm a big Ricky Gervais fan, and you watch him at the Golden Globes, not this year because no Golden Globes, but last year when he's like, "Get your award, fuck off, mom. Nobody wants to hear your opinion."
Yeah.
No, none of you have the right to be telling anybody what to do. Nobody wants to hear it. Look pretty. Go away. Go away. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you do believe in something, I strongly support this. I support the thing that I believe in. I believe that people should put money into Alzheimer's research. If Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates, if any of those dudes got Alzheimer's, there'd be $2 billion in there instantaneously.
Right. Oh yeah.
And we'd be like, oh, that got changed. That's not happening. So I go around and I try to raise money for it. I don't talk about it unless that's the conversation, but I wouldn't get up on stage like, I want to thank everybody for this award for me acting as Jojo the Monkey Boy in the circus movie. And by the way, you should feel bad about Alzheimer's. Like, what? No, that's just weird.
It does affect most of us, though. I mean, my grandfather, towards the end of his life, it was so hard to see. Especially like when there was moments of lucidity, that almost made it harder because he wasn't all the way gone. And it's like knowing that there are genetic markers. Like I've even looked into intermittent fasting because it can stop, but it's like I want more answers because it's hard when you lose somebody because you have grief, but it's losing somebody piece by piece. It's like an ongoing grief process. So thank you for the work you're doing on that, because really that's personally affected my life a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you back. It is, if anybody's out there has family that are going through it, contact the Alzheimer's Association.org, .net. They have a huge amount of resources. You call them, and it's the most amazing thing because as Joe was saying, like his grandfather had it. If you haven't gone through it, the weirdest part is you don't know what's happening. You think people are being quirky. They're acting strange. What's going on with them? They're just weird today. And it slowly builds into the new normal. And then you get them tested and you're like, fuck, this is what this was. Now, the faster you know what it is, the faster you can start making plans to help take care of them. Because at this moment, there is no cure. There's research into different areas that are showing some positive feedback. And that's a deeper dive, so I don't want to depress anybody about it. But yeah, it's like if you have anybody in your family who's at the age of like, dude, 65 and older, who's asking you the same question over and over, saying things to you that don't quite make sense, getting lost, seeming slightly confused, repetitiously, can't find words more than average. There's no downside to just getting tested. And the tests are super simple unless you're having a dementia issue.
Sure.
And get as much help as you can, as quickly as possible, because it sucks.
Wow.
It sucks. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Let's definitely post a link up, Mike. So when we post this up, just so we can.
Yeah. I can put one up right now, but I can do it again later. But I can put. You have one for me? Alzheimer's.org.
I don't have one. I think it's Alzheimer's. Go on my Twitter. I'm followed by them. I follow them. Alzheimer's. Yeah, I think it's Alzheimer's.org. I can double check my phone. Do we have questions on the side that we need to ask?
Yes. One of them was, I know this guy, so I can say this was retarded because, excuse me, using that word, lack of better term, but I don't have all day to listen. No. Yeah. What did he say? Hold on.
He asked what got Zack into acting, but I feel like he kind of answered that with his mom.
Yes, that's what I mean.
On.
Yeah.
So we kind of had an answer.
Was there anybody in particular, like an actress back in the day? Okay.
Shoot me for a second. Peter. The Pink Panther, Peter Sellers.
Oh,
Peter
Sellers
was my hero as a kid. And what was always amazing to me about him was like, the Pink Panther, hilarious. Inspector Clouseau, but then seeing The Mouse That Roared, seeing Dr. Strangelove, seeing The Party, all these films that he did, and he was a character actor. He was a leading man character actor who would change everything about himself to become these characters. And I thought that was cool as hell. So for me, that was the goal, was to become a character that was so different than who I am as a normal person that you wouldn't even be able to know who I was.
Right.
When I was a kid, I'm 52 years old. I didn't have video games and lots of TV channels. So we were also broke. So playing dress up and pretend. I mean, I know that sounds pretty stupid, but it was awesome fun. And pretending to be other characters and accents and all that stuff was a lot of fun. So for me, Peter Sellers was always the gold standard of what acting can be. And that's always where I wanted to go.
Wow. That's very cool. There was another question here, but I honestly don't know what it means.
Yeah,
Said,
go.
What being fed uppers as a contract player doesn't sound fun? I
think Corey's making a reference to Judy Garland on The Wizard of Oz. I was not a contract player, nor did I ever take uppers. I'm naturally this.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, I wanted to just go over a couple upcoming projects you have going on. There's a TV series coming out called Fallen Cards.
No.
It's not happening?
Fallen Cards was a failed attempt to make a TV series. I directed like 3-4 episodes of that, and then it never went anywhere, and it never got finished. One of those projects that languishes in development, meaning the people in charge screwed shit up, and then it never came to fruition. So no, it's dead.
Damn.
It looks cool. The stuff that I shot looks awesome.
Okay, well, this next one I hope is not dead. Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms.
You mean, I don't know, that right there. It's too shiny, yeah. Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms, starring James Hong, Michelle Phan, Matt Sato, Anna Har, Dante Basco, Dave Sheridan, Bai Ling, George Takei, Getty Watanabe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
This is directed by you.
Written and directed by me, yes, sir.
And directed and edited. All right, great. And from what people are saying online, it's an 80s style adventure film in the vein of The Goonies and Big Trouble in Little China.
Bingo, baby. Yeah.
I cannot wait for this personally. I'm a huge fan of both of those. I know Joe is as well.
Oh, yeah. Where are we going to be able to catch that?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. This whole thing, when I say it's a spec film, what I mean is it's made without distribution attached in the beginning. So a lot of these movies that you see, like I did a film last year called Survive the Game with Bruce Willis. It's another Bruce Willis action, blah, 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 and I play a psycho in it, covered in tattoos, fun stuff. But that's made by a company called EFO, and they already have an output deal, meaning they already have sales in foreign nations and around the world. So it's made at a budget and sold at a profit and done. When you're doing a spec film, that means you make the movie and you don't have sales attached, so you don't know where it's going to go. This one it's been hard, dude. It has been fucking hard. We shot this super low budget, but I worked in practical effects for about 15 years as an industry producer for a company called Illusion Industries. And I met a lot of great, talented human beings. And so I begged and borrowed everything I could from them to make this movie as much practical effects as possible. I've got little people inside animatronic headdresses, headgear that is that of a talking lizard riding a small cart pulled by a miniature donkey. I've got characters from the Chinese zodiac that are a chicken and a rat, and they come to the human kingdom, and they've got like a prosthetic nose, big Adam's apple, and shaved head, and the other one's got the blended area from the nose down here and the beard. And I've got a Woo Witch. I've got John Bailey, the Honest Trailers guy in there, on camera as this giant Woo Witch character. I've got hopping vampires. Dude, it's ridiculous. Like, it is.
This sounds like an Uwe Boll movie, but with a script. Like an elevated.
It sounds, I would say, who's the guy? The guy who directed Superman and the Goonies. He just died, unfortunately. And it's slipping my mind. And people are going to yell at me for not having this.
Why can't I think of it either?
Hold on.
Richard Donner.
Yeah. Think of this as like a Donner film, like Gremlins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this is it's not an Uwe Boll film.
I was just saying with all the crazy elements, but I mean, you're more self-aware as far as what you're trying to accomplish, I'm sure.
You think? Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things like I've had to beg, borrow, and I have not stolen a nickel or a penny to get shit done, but I have had to beg and borrow. And constantly what happens is I show people what we've been doing and they see it and go, oh my God, I love this. This is amazing. And then they jump on board to give me the little piece that they can. And
awesome.
Yeah, it really is, because like, on a project like this, you have to lead from in front. You got to be up earlier than everybody else. You got to work later than everybody else. You got to have a smile on your face. You got to inspire them. You got to find workarounds to issues. You can't be like, well, this is a problem. Like, well, then we're done. I guess we're not going to have that thing. It's like, no, come up with a solution. Make it work for everybody. Yeah. Make them look great. Make it look fantastic. Make them proud of themselves. I like treating people like that. I like them to feel enrolled in the film. I like them to feel like they have ownership of it. Yes, I wrote it. Yes, I directed it. Yes, I edited it. Yes, I'm the VFX supervisor. Yes, I'm the VFX editor on the thing. It's exhausting. Right now, we're in a big grind. We're on a marathon grind for getting all this VFX post in, all these shots. And we've gotten people in India, in Oregon, in New Mexico, in Brazil, and some people come on and give me 2 shots, and other people come on and give me a whole bunch of comps, and and I'm nickel and diming and learning about different VFX post processes. At the same time, like, I had to build a book. You know how in every great 80s movie, there's the secret is in the book, right?
Oh yeah.
Where do you find that fucking book, dude? Like, you go to the Never-Ending Story. That's a nice book. I looked around for a guy who could make these books. And like, yeah, they're like $6,000. I'm like, I don't have $6,000. I don't have that. So I went on YouTube and learned how to take an old encyclopedia and age it and wrap it with leather to make it look like an ancient tome. So that took me 2 fucking weeks. Every night, I finish working, have some food with my wife, and go bye, and get home at 2:00 in the morning and start the thing over again at 8:30 and be kind of stupid, as you can see, and then get that to work. But it's all those little moments, and it's constantly exciting to see how people interact with it and how much heart it has. And what's funny is typically these type of films are done 20 million plus. And we're literally on SAG. It's called an ultra low budget, which is 250,000 and below.
Whoa!
With prosthetics. Wow, that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've played around with some stuff, and it doesn't sound doable. But the fact that you're doing it and you're that invested in it is, I cannot wait to see it.
I cannot wait for you to see it. I am so excited. I'm so excited.
Just the heart behind it alone sounds like it's going to be.
Oh,
amazing.
James Hong slays, dude. James Hong slays in this. He's awesome. He's a badass. It's so cool. He's
great. One of my actually weird kind of funny movies called Balls of Fury.
Oh yeah.
Okay. He's in that movie.
He's
And
great in it.
he is hilarious in that movie.
His comic time. You know, James
Yeah.
Hong is getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame next month.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
92
Wow.
years old, bro. 92.
Wow, that's insane.
Spin that into some distribution. Get some press for it.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. That's why I'm trying to grind this thing out and get a one sheet made and a trailer done so I can show it to everybody. It's just, you know, on projects like this, I've been working on it since I got married August 18th of 2018, and 3 days later I was like, we didn't get a chance to have a honeymoon because I had to go to work on this and finish off the script and prep all the builds, and then we finished shooting December 20th, 2018, and I've been working on it. You know, we had COVID, if you might have noticed, so that put the kibosh on that caused a lot of issues. But I've been working on it for free for the last 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So you got to work on other stuff to make money so you can work on this for free.
It's a different scale, but I know exactly. I mean, I work a day job and I'm working on my own graphic novel, and it's just, I have to just steal pieces, and I'm doing everything. I'm writing, I'm drawing, I'm inking, I'm coloring. And I didn't realize how much every fucking step took. And I still have to eat, and I still have to pay my mortgage. So it's, if you don't love it, you can't do it. That's it. It's a grind, but you do it because you don't know what else to do. Yes, of course.
Well, it's totally worth it. It's also like, and it's also very isolating in the sense that other people who don't understand it, and I call them civilians, people who have a day job, and at the end of the week they're like, I'm done. I'm gonna go have a beer and relax, which is awesome. But that to me is a civilian life, where those of us who are like, I'm done doing that one thing. Now I can focus on that thing I really wanted to do. And that's my life. So, hey, do you want to go to a movie? Oh, no, I don't have time for that. Until I'm so exhausted I can't think anymore, then I watch a movie in my house, because I can't spend 45 minutes to go someplace, set it up, sit in the theater, see a movie, another half hour to get home. I got crap to do, dude. Like that's prime time. It's hard to communicate that desire to other people, because if they don't want the same thing you do, and they don't get to see the incremental growth of that, and eventually, Joe, your graphic novel will be done, and you will then go, here it is, and someone will be like, oh my God, how did you ever get that done? And you're like, inch by fucking inch by fucking inch after fucking inch. And
after 5 years.
Yeah. And it literally is the way it works, man. It's exactly the way it works. And,
I appreciate hearing that. And like I said, the fact that you're so invested in what you're doing, like, it just excites me. I mean, I like big budget stuff too, but when something comes from the heart, and I mean, it's just love. I mean, it's love for the craft. So that's awesome.
I totally agree. And it's inspiring as well. Like, you know,
I hope people see it. And like, if anybody is out there who has questions about filmmaking, my Twitter, Total Zack Ward, TOTALZACKWARD, hit me up. You know, I think this is one of the greatest times in history to be a creative in the film environment, or in any environment, just because if you have the tenacity and the drive, you can make something that previously was impossible. So if I can help anybody out, get anybody else get information that they need. And it's like, the thing I love about filmmaking is it's not a no, it's a challenge how to make it a yes. And if you can outthink it and make it work, like, okay, in that movie, Don't Blink. So I produced Don't Blink. That was the first feature I produced. We shot it up in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And it was wintertime, January. But it had not snowed at all. But there was a little tough things of snow in the forest or whatever. Literally over the weekend, dude, like 29 inches came down. It was ridiculous. Like, in drifts of 6 feet high, man. And so at one moment, Brian Austin Green we're in this big ass cabin, really cool, and he runs out the front door to chase somebody. And she's taking off in her car. She's like, oh my God, she's getting away. And he looks around and goes, when did it snow? And it's a moment like, oh my God, it's snowing. Right? Like, how did they do that? We had no choice, man. It snowed. You turned it into part of the movie. We had to do match cuts after it snowed where the temperature dropped massively. And I'm outside. We had shot part of it the day before, and now we had to shoot the rest of the scene, and it's freaking freezing, and there was snow. And literally, we're using flamethrowers to get rid of the snow and shovel in a certain area, just frame that off. And to make sure you couldn't see our breath, we're putting a bunch of ice cubes in our mouths before we set our lines.
Wow.
Make it work, dude.
That's
Make
awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Stop whining. Just make it happen.
Yeah.
My father used to say, excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got one, but we don't want to hear from them.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's very true. Well, listen, I don't have a ton to offer as far as help goes, but I do graphic design. So if you ever need anything like that, like even like a font or something,
dude, yes,
hit me up and I will do it for free, of course. And I would love to contribute to it.
Send me, email me some of your stuff so I know how to play with you, with your skill set.
Sure.
True story. You guys will dig this. So in the movie, Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms, the small town of Globe, Arizona, we shot up in Arizona, and the whole city was just beautiful, sweet, kind people. And so in the movie, there's like it's an homage to this one part is an homage to Back to the Future, where it's the under the sea dance, right? There's going to be the homecoming dance. So they're walking around looking at a flyer, like, oh, you're going to go back to the homecoming dance. And so I wanted to get a flyer made, and we were replacing it. There's a long shot pulling away from outside the school, and there are these big banners up there, and I was replacing them. One with a Go Tigers, which is the Globe, Arizona football team, and I got from their records. I got a poster that was from like 1948, 1952, really cool. And then I wanted to get a flyer for the Under the Sea dance, and so I reached out to this wonderful woman in Globe, Arizona named Molly, and who I worked with there. And I was like, if you got any young artists. And so this young girl designed the poster that's in the movie in the background. I'm like, how cool is that? You're 14 years old and you get to put something in a feature film. Oh, it's so cool.
It is. It's so cool. And much like you, that's how I operate. I wouldn't even say I really have a style as far as art goes. I go with what it gives me. Whatever the art gives me. I'd like to do a lot of logos for like bands and things like that. Cool. And I'm like, send me your tracks. I'll listen to the music and then I'll make the design. And they usually come out pretty cool. They like them,
That's awesome.
So
thank you for offering, man. That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything, man. So Zach, man, thank you so much for this. This was really great. You're a very entertaining guy. And I really hope to see a lot more work. Not only you in the movies, but you behind the camera, and really can't wait for this new one. This Patsy Lee and the Keepers of the Five Kingdoms, and everybody out there listening, go donate to Alzheimer's.org. Even if you got like $5, anything helps.
This has been a lot of fun.
Everything, Zack.
And Joe, I'd love to see your graphic novel, bro.
You got it, man. Like I said, I also do visual art, so if you ever need sketchbooks drawn or like. I'm happy to help out. I love the community of artists that the world has created.
Fantastic. So send me some stuff so I can check it out. I'd love to scamper with you guys. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
See, Joe's very humble. He's a man of many talents.
Okay, awesome.
He plays music. He's been in movies. He does art. He's very, very good at everything.
Yeah, you need free songs, royalty free. Just ask. I got you.
Send me everything you got so that way I know how to scamper with you, and then we can roll stuff together. That would be great.
All right, Zach, if it's cool with you, I'll give him your email.
Please do. Okay,
very
it's
cool.
been a pleasure, guys. And for the
Yeah.
people watching, thank you so much for your patronage and your patience, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Zach. Thank you so much again, and we'll be catching up, talking
All
soon.
right, take care, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
take care.
See you guys.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. I think I know how to turn this off. There we go. How does that? And that's that.
There he goes. All right, that's it, man. We're still live, but I'm gonna kick it off now. That was a lot of fun. What a great guy.
That was a blast. Fantastic.
Really
guest.
great. So I'm gonna try to get more stuff like this going. So actually, as soon as I hang up here, I'm gonna get in touch with you with email and all that stuff. We'll talk.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
All right. Bye, Mike.